Hey everyone, we finally made it. Within this discussion video, you'll find a presentation that provides both a defense of my topic and an overall summary. My topic, tourism in Salem and Plymouth, was an incredibly interesting topic to base my research around. This was a type of history that I really hadn't studied much before, economic history, and a topic that approached more of a modern period than I really had ever studied before. However, since I generally study the topic of Plymouth Colony, I thought I would choose a topic that I could relate to on some level. I chose to study Salem when I realized that by only studying tourism in Plymouth, I was going to be challenged in terms of a lack of resources. I've also always been interested in the history of Salem, so I thought it would be a good addition to the project. I approached this topic by examining the state of Massachusetts in general in terms of its connection to tourism, many of the actual tourist attractions in both cities, the revenues generated by each city, and the impacts of tourism, as well as both the positive and impacts and negative impacts. I also provided a brief history for each location. In general, both of these tourist locations draw in various demographics of individuals because of the type of tourism they fall into. Mainly, my paper examined historically based tourism and what is known as fright tourism. While Plymouth generally falls into the historical tourism category, Salem falls into both, into historical tourism and fright tourism. Some of the Plymouth organizations that were mentioned are Plymouth Patuxent Museums, the Mayflower II, and the Pilgrim Hall Museum. In Salem, I looked at the Salem Witch Museum, the Witch House at Salem, the Peabody Essex Museum, and the House of Seven Gables. In general, tourism in Massachusetts is huge. It's one of the leading industries in the state. Tourism has created over 155,000 jobs in Massachusetts, and after working on this project, I was able to determine that while tourism in both of these locations is prominent, Salem draws in more tourists and tourist dollars. Each year, around 1.8 million people visit Salem, and the city generates around $140 million, while Plymouth attracts about 1.3 million people and generates around $30 million. So Plymouth makes a considerably less tourist dollars than Salem. After the conclusion of this project, I was able to conclude that tourism is one of the biggest industries in Massachusetts and creates a large number of jobs there. I was also able to learn that tourism can have negative impacts as well. It's interesting to consider how something that can be so fun for some might be something incredibly negative to others. In a study of 1,636 residents in Cape Cod, a staggering 46% of people wanted to control and restrict tourism in some way or another, while 51% of people were okay with how things were, and another 3% wanted to do away with tourism altogether. In general, tourism is thriving in Salem and Plymouth, and while tourism does have many upsides, it also has a lot of downfalls that affect permanent residents who call these locations home year-round. Thanks so much for taking the time to view this final video this week, and best of luck to everyone in the spring term.